Hey guys, tonight we settle into a small Qing Dynasty silk weaving village, waking with you as dawn's soft light spills through paper windows and a faint, almost musical hum of silk threads begins to fill the air. You probably won't survive a full day here, tangled between delicate threads and hours of patient, repetitive work. But don't worry, you're just here for the gentle journey. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always nice to know where in the world we're drifting off together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge out of your thin wooden bed frame, careful not to disturb the paper-thin walls that separate you from your neighbors. The dawn is quiet, but the village already breathes, a delicate pulse of footsteps, whispered greetings, and the soft clinking of tools. Your breath forms a small cloud in the crisp morning air, the kind that settles deep in your lungs and calms your mind. The sun hasn't yet burned through the morning mist hovering just beyond the wooden houses, but the sky is a watercolor wash of pink and lavender, promising warmth. Around you, the smell of steamed rice and sweet chrysanthemum tea wafts faintly through the open windows. Somewhere nearby, a rooster's lazy crow sounds, more of a yawn than an alarm clock. The village is waking, but slowly, like silk threads unspooling from cocoon, patient, precise, and delicate. As you step outside, your wooden sandals tap lightly against the packed earth. The cobblestone paths are still damp with dew, and the soft crunch beneath your feet feels oddly comforting. The women who live nearby begin sweeping their doorsteps with gentle brushstrokes, gathering stray leaves and dust, their movements as rhythmic and deliberate as the weaving you'll soon witness. They wear simple cotton robes, dyed in muted earth tones, sleeves rolled up just enough to reveal the graceful curve of their wrists. You pause by a well where an elderly man leans on a long-handled bucket, exchanging greetings with a young girl, carrying a bundle of freshly picked mulberry leaves, the essential food of silkworms. The two smile quietly, the kind of small, everyday warmth that colors his village with life. You watch as the girl offers some leaves to the man, who nods with appreciation, and you think about how each thread in the silk fabric of the village's life is just as connected as the delicate threads they craft. As the sun climbs higher, you hear the unmistakable, soft whirring sound of silk reeling beginning somewhere down the lane. It's a sound like water over smooth stones, constant, calming, and oddly hypnotic. You follow the sound, turning a corner, and see through an open doorway a woman deftly working at her reeling apparatus. Her hands move with fluid grace, unspooling the glimmering silk thread from the tiny silkworm cocoons carefully heated and softened in water. The steam rising from the basin mingles with the faint scent of fresh wood and the faintly sweet odor of the silk itself. The woman's face is serene but focused, eyes following the thread's journey as it catches the light, shimmering like spun moonbeams. You note how her fingers never hesitate or fumble. Every movement has been learned by heart, a language spoken by generations before her. It's a slow, tender beginning to the day, a ritual both practical and almost sacred. Historians still argue whether these silk reeling techniques originated solely in China or were refined through quiet exchanges along early trade routes. But there's no denying the remarkable patience required for this craft. You watch as the silk thread, so fine it almost disappears against her pale skin, collects in a loose skein ready for the next stage of transformation. The quiet hum in the village grows steadily as more houses stir to life. Laundry hangs on simple wooden racks, fluttering gently in the morning breeze, while the sound of clacking wooden looms prepares to fill the air. You imagine the endless repetition required to weave those threads into fabric, a process so slow it could lull even the most restless minds to sleep. You step back, your eyes tracing the sun's gentle climb over the rooftops, feeling the peacefulness that comes from watching a world built on patience and craftsmanship. It's a far cry from today's fast-paced chaos, where everything screams for your attention. Here, each moment flows deliberately, like the silk being spun, a reminder that some things are best savored slowly. As you breathe in the cool morning air one last time before moving deeper into the village, you realize the day ahead will be a quiet tapestry of small sounds and simple acts, just a kind of sleepy rhythm perfect for drifting off. You find yourself stepping quietly into a small workshop, warmed by the gentle heat of a steaming basin, where the secret of silk's delicate beauty begins. The art of silk reeling is more than a simple craft here. It is the village's heartbeat, a ritual passed down from mother to daughter with reverence and care. You watch the woman's hands, steady and sure, as they unwind the silk from thousands of tiny silkworm cocoons. Each cocoon, roughly the size of a grape, holds a single continuous thread that can stretch hundreds of meters if handled with care. It's almost miraculous. The water in the basin bubbles gently, softening the tough outer layers of the cocoon, so the thread can be pulled without breaking. You hear the faint hiss of steam mixing with the slow, steady whir of the wooden reeling wheel turning. The woman's fingers, callous yet graceful, guide the thread carefully onto a spool. Every movement is slow and deliberate. Too fast, and the precious thread snaps. Too slow, and the process loses its rhythm. You lean in closer and catch a faint, sweet smell, almost like honey mixed with a trace of fresh leaves. It's the subtle scent of raw silk, still alive with the quiet energy of the silkworms that created it. You imagine those tiny creatures munching on mulberry leaves, slowly spinning their cocoons in dark corners, unaware of the delicate artistry their work will one day become. Historians still argue whether the reeling technique perfected in this village represents an independent innovation or refinement brought along by Silk Road travelers. But the methods here have remained remarkably consistent for centuries. You find it fascinating that, despite global changes, the human touch remains irreplaceable in this craft. Machines might churn out synthetic fibers at high speed elsewhere, but the softness and shimmer of hand-reeled silk come only from this patient, ancient process. The woman pauses for a moment to adjust attention on the reel, then resumes her rhythm. You notice her eyes occasionally flicker to a small paper talisman pinned above the basin, an old village charm said to protect the silk from breaking. It's a quirky superstition, perhaps born from centuries of nervous anticipation, and it makes you smile to think that even here, art and belief weave together like threads on a loom. Nearby, a young apprentice watches intently, her hands twitching to try the delicate maneuver, but holding back respectfully. You catch the subtle exchange of smile between them, a silent promise that this skill will pass on, thread by thread, generation by generation. It's a slow kind of legacy, stitched with care and patience. Outside, the village is beginning to fill with soft footsteps and distant voices. You notice a basket nearby, filled with empty cocoons ready for the next batch, reminders of the quiet, ongoing cycle that sustains this way of life. It strikes you how every stage depends on timing and gentleness, much like the rhythms of the village itself. As you step back, the real steady hum lulls your mind, the delicate shimmer of silk threads weaving a quiet spell. This is no rush factory. It's a living tradition, wrapped in the slow, soothing pace of daily life. You step outside the small workshop into a cool, shaded courtyard where the village's dye master prepares his colors, blending the natural pigments that will bring life to the delicate silk. The air carries a faint earthy aroma, wet clay, crushed leaves, and something faintly sweet like dried flower petals. You watch as he carefully stirs a wooden barrel filled with a deep indigo dye, the dark blue liquid swirling like a calm midnight sky. The dyeing tradition here isn't just about making pretty colors. It's an ancient art intertwined with nature's rhythms and village folklore. The master dips small silk samples into pots of bright reds from madder root, soft yellows from safflower petals, and muted greens from crushed tea leaves. Each color has its story, drawn from plants and minerals found in the nearby hills and forests. You imagine the generations of villagers who collected these ingredients, following secret recipes that vary subtly from family to family. You notice how the dye master moves deliberately, as if conducting a quiet symphony. His fingers dip the silk, lift it, and test the color with practiced eye. There's a softness to the fabric even in this early stage, as if it's already responding to the gentle touch of the dyes. Watching this slow process, you think about how color in silk isn't just decoration. It's a way to express identity, mood, even hope. The dye master pauses to add powdered alum to one barrel, a natural fixative that helps the color hold fast. You're reminded that these natural mordants require careful balance. Too little, and the colors fade quickly. Too much, and the silk stiffens. The entire village depends on this delicate alchemy to keep their textiles vibrant through wear and time. Historians still argue whether the use of certain natural dyes originated in this region or was influenced by early trade with neighboring cultures, but it's clear these recipes have been treasured and adapted here for centuries. There's something comforting in knowing these gentle techniques survived even through political upheaval and changing dynasties. Nearby, you spot a small jar of a peculiar purple powder, made from the crushed shells of a freshwater snail. The dye master explains it a rare, prized pigment called purple Cromwell, believed to bring good fortune when worn. You smile at the quirky superstition and think about how belief and craft have always danced together like threads on a loom. As the sun shifts, casting soft golden light over the courtyard, you feel the slow heartbeat of the village, the rhythm of nature and human hands working in harmony. You breathe in the earthy scents, watch the colors deepen, and sense the quiet magic behind these simple, ancient rituals. It's easy to imagine the silk, once dyed, being woven into garments worn by villagers and nobles alike, each thread carrying stories of earth, water, and time. You stroll toward the village market, just as the morning unfolds into a gentle buzz of quiet activity. The marketplace isn't a loud, bustling fair as you might imagine, but more like a soft murmur of voices mingling with the occasional rustle of woven baskets and the delicate clink of porcelain cups. Traders and villagers arrange their stalls with care, laying out bolts of silk shimmering softly in the sunlight, alongside fragrant bundles of tea leaves and simple handcrafted trinkets. The scent of fresh herbs and spices drifts lazily through the air, mixed with a faint aroma of freshly steamed buns, still warm and inviting. You inhale deeply and feel the calm simplicity of a place where every item seems chosen with intention, not haste. You watch a merchant, an older woman with streaks of silver in her hair, gently folding a vibrant crimson scarf, its silk threads catching the light like the surface of a calm river. She offers a soft smile to a passing customer, and the two exchange quiet words, their voices low enough to blend with the ambient sounds of the morning. You realize the market is as much a social gathering as a place of commerce, a spot where news, stories, and laughter weave through the stalls as naturally as the silk itself. Among the goods, you spot jars of dried chrysanthemum petals, used for soothing teas, and tiny bundles of fragrant herbs tied with straw. Children weave between stalls, chasing one another with the carefree energy of youth, their footsteps light against the wooden planks beneath. Historians still argue whether these village markets were primarily places of economic exchange, or if their main function was fostering social bonds and community cohesion. Either way, here, you sense that the gentle rhythm of trade flows hand in hand with connection. You pause at a small stall where a young man carefully carves miniature wooden shuttles used in weaving, tiny tools that look like delicate birds in flight. His hands move with patient precision, and you imagine how such small, handmade pieces might be treasured by the weavers who depend on them. Nearby, a vendor offers an assortment of hand-painted fans, their silk surfaces decorated with soft pastel landscapes and delicate blossoms. You think about how such simple objects carry not just practical use, but aesthetic beauty and cultural significance, wrapped in the same slow, deliberate care as the silk itself. As the sun climbs, the light to the open-air market filters softly through paper lanterns hung overhead, casting a warm glow over the scene. You breathe in the mingled scents, the quiet chatter and the slow, unhurried exchange, feeling the village's gentle pulse. It's a marketplace that invites you not to rush but to linger, absorbing the colors, sounds, and small moments that stitch the community together. You wander into a shaded courtyard where several women gather, their hands moving rhythmically as they weave silk threads and stories alike. Their fingers work nimbly, wrapping fine strands around wooden frames, nodding and twisting with practiced ease, while their voices carry soft laughter and the occasional teasing comment. It's a social circle where work and friendship intertwine, each supporting the other in a delicate balance of productivity and companionship. The women wear muted robes that whisper against the wooden floorboards, their sleeves rolled just enough to reveal slender wrists. You notice the faint scent of jasmine from a nearby teapot, its steam curling lazily as they sip between conversations. Their chatter isn't loud but warm, like a gentle stream flowing to the rhythm of the day. You might almost forget that beneath the surface, this daily labor is as exacting as it is communal. You overhear a story about a particularly stubborn spool of silk that refused to unwind properly, sparking a small, good-natured debate about the best way to coax it back into cooperation. One woman suggests a pinch of crushed mulberry leaves rubbed on the thread, while another insists a quiet song calms the silk. You smile, thinking how superstition and craft seem inseparable here, creating a shared language as rich as the fabric they produce. Historians still argue whether these women's weaving circles serve primarily as centers for social support or were strategic networks for passing down specialized skills. Either way, the bonds formed here are clearly vital. You sense that these gatherings are much more than work. They are lifelines threading the community together. Nearby, a young mother rocks her infant gently on her back while her fingers keep pace with the weaving. You watch the baby's eyes flicker sleepily, lulled by the steady clack and hum of the looms. It's a reminder of how this work, slow and methodical, shapes not only cloth, but the very rhythm of family life. You notice how the women's movements are almost meditative, a slow dance of hands and silk, punctuated by quiet jokes and shared memories. The gentle sarcasm in their words feels like a soft balm against the demanding hours, a subtle humor that lightens the day without rushing it. As the afternoon light filters through paper windows, you feel yourself drawn into this delicate world, where labor and laughter weave seamlessly into one. You find yourself approaching the village schoolhouse, a humble wooden structure nestled beneath ancient pines whose needles whisper softly in the breeze. The air here is cooler, tinged with a faint scent of ink and aged paper, a quiet sanctuary for young minds beginning to absorb the teachings that will shape their futures. You hear the soft scrape of brushes on rice paper and the occasional murmur of a teacher's calm voice guiding calligraphy strokes. Inside, children sit cross-legged on woven mats, their small hands clutching slender brushes as they practice the elegant strokes of Chinese characters. The rhythmic scratch of ink against paper is oddly soothing, like a slow, steady heartbeat. You watch as one boy pauses, concentrating hard before delicately forming the next character, his tongue peeking slightly from the corner of his mouth, a universal sign of deep focus that transcends time and place. Nearby, an elderly scholar sits quietly, reading from a scroll etched with Confucian teachings. His presence brings a gentle gravitas to the room, and you sense the weight of centuries of knowledge passing through these walls. The children listen attentively as he speaks, though you catch the occasional distracted glance toward the window, where a bird flits from branch to branch. Historians still argue whether rural education in Qing villages was primarily a tool for social order or genuine intellectual cultivation. Either way, it's clear that these lessons offer both discipline and a quiet space for reflection. You notice a young girl tracing characters with careful patience, her brows knitting in concentration. Her family, you learn, weaves silk to help pay for her schooling, a slow investment in hope and possibility. It's a small but powerful reminder of how education and craft are intertwined threads in the fabric of village life. Outside, the soft rustle of pine needles blends with the gentle murmur of distant conversations, and you feel the calm pulse of a place where learning unfolds at its own measured pace. It's not just a schoolhouse. It's a quiet haven where the past wisdom whispers softly into the present, inviting you to breathe deep and slow. You follow a narrow path that leads to a communal courtyard, where the mid-morning sun filters through a lattice of wooden beams, casting soft, dappled shadows over low tables laden with steaming bowls and earthenware teapots. The gentle clatter of chopsticks and the murmur of voices mingle with the rich aroma of herbal broth and freshly steamed buns, creating a warm, inviting atmosphere. It's time for the midday meal, a pause in the day's labor where families come together to share both food and quiet moments. You watch as women bring out baskets of baozi, their fluffy surfaces dusted lightly with flour, while elders pour delicate cups of chrysanthemum tea, its golden liquid shimmering in the sunlight. The steam rising from the bowls carries hints of ginger and star anise, soothing and familiar. You notice the careful way each dish is arranged, a simple yet thoughtful presentation that honors the ingredients and the hands that prepared them. Around you, laughter bubbles softly, tempered by the gentle rhythm of conversation. Children nibble on sweet rice cakes, their sticky fingers proof that even in a village so focused on patience and craft, messiness still finds its way in. Nearby, an old man slowly unwraps a small cloth bundle containing dried mulberries, a sweet treat saved for special occasions. Historians still debate how much these humble meals reflected local abundance versus carefully rationed simplicity, but it's clear that food here is both sustenance and ritual. The act of eating together strengthens ties, weaving family and community closer in a gentle, unspoken bond. You catch a glimpse of a woman carefully steeping herbal medicine, a fragrant blend of mint and licorice, said to soothe tired hands and calm the spirit. It's a reminder how even meals are infused with healing traditions, subtle remedies passed down through generations. As the sunlight softens toward afternoon, you savor the peacefulness of this shared pause, the gentle clink of porcelain and soft murmurs wrapping around you like a comforting shawl. Here, the simple act of eating feels like a quiet ceremony, a slow breath in the day's unfolding story. You settle beside a loom nestled in a quiet corner of a weaving house, where shafts of afternoon light filter softly through paper windows, casting a warm glow on the intricate work before you. The loom's wooden frame creaks gently as threads taut and relax, and the rhythmic clack-clack of the shuttle weaving back and forth becomes a soothing metronome, steady and unhurried. You can almost feel the fabric taking shape beneath the weaver's deft hands, silk strands crossing, twisting, and knotting into delicate patterns. The weaver's eyes are calm, focused but not strained, following the thread's path with practiced ease born of years steeped in tradition. You notice the slight, almost imperceptible smile that flickers across her lips, a quiet satisfaction in the slow, deliberate craft. The air smells faintly of polished wood and warm silk, a comforting blend that anchors you in this moment. Historians still argue whether some patterns woven in villages like this carry symbolic meanings, or if they were purely decorative, but the care in each stitch is undeniable. You trace the subtle curves and repeating motifs, imagining how these designs might tell stories or signify belonging within the community. Nearby, a child watches intently, fingers twitching to mimic the weaver's motions, learning through quiet observation. The loom's movements seem almost hypnotic, a lullaby in wood and thread, perfect for easing a restless mind toward sleep. You notice how the whole process feels meditative, the slow pulse of weaving matching the gentle rhythm of village life, a dance of patience and skill that turns simple silk into treasured cloth. Outside, the light begins to soften as clouds drift lazily overhead, and the steady hum of the loom blends with distant bird song and the whisper of leaves. The day slows, and you find yourself sinking deeper into quiet, a gentle peace wrapping around you like a soft shawl woven from the very threads before you. This slow, tactile dance between hands, wood, and silk invites you to breathe deeply and simply be, a perfect moment suspended in time. You find yourself wandering through the village as twilight paints the sky in soft hues of lavender and amber. The air carries a hint of sweetness from nearby kitchens preparing for the Moon Festival, a cherished seasonal celebration that brings the community together in gentle harmony. Lanterns, simple paper creations glowing warmly from the inside, begin to appear along the narrow streets, swaying softly in the evening breeze like fireflies caught in slow motion. Villagers move with quiet purpose, hanging decorations and arranging mooncakes on wooden trays, their faces calm and expectant. Children giggle as they practice balancing small candles inside their lanterns, careful not to spill the flickering flames. You breathe in the mingling sense of sweet lotus paste and baked pastry, subtle and comforting, a fragrance that has traveled unchanged through countless festival nights. The Moon Festival itself is a tapestry of tradition woven with delicate threads of family, harvest, and renewal. Stories are told beneath the glowing lantern light. Tales of Chang'e, the moon goddess who forever floats in the night sky, her grace both distant and intimate. You imagine villagers looking up to the moon, finding quiet solace in its steady glow. Historians still debate how much of the festival's current form reflects ancient rituals versus later adaptations, but its gentle spirit of togetherness remains clear. This slow unfolding of customs creates a soft rhythm in the village's yearly cycle, a moment to pause, reflect, and share. You watch as elders hand out mooncakes, the sticky sweetness met with appreciative smiles and nods. Nearby, a group of women hum a lullaby-like tune, their voices blending with the soft crackle of a small fire where incense burns, sending tendrils of smoke curling upward in silent prayers. As the sky deepens to navy and the first stars blink awake, you feel the village's heartbeat slow into a steady, comforting pulse. The Moon Festival isn't a raucous celebration but a tender embrace, A quiet night wrapped in light and soft laughter, perfect for easing your mind and readying you for rest. Steam rises softly from delicate porcelain cups arranged on a lacquered tray, each exhaling fragrant tendrils of freshly brewed tea into the cool evening air. You settle into a low wooden stool beside a small table where the village tea master begins the gentle ritual of serving tea, an art as deliberate and soothing as the silk weaving you followed throughout the day. The faint clink of cups and the soft pouring of water create a calming symphony that seems to slow time itself. The tea master's hands move with care, lifting each cup to invite quiet reflection before the first sip. The tea is light and slightly bitter, with subtle hints of jasmine and pine, leaving a cool freshness lingering on your tongue. You notice how the tea isn't rushed. Every movement is slow and precise, inviting patience and mindfulness. Tea here is more than a drink. It's a companion to conversation, contemplation, and rest. Villagers gather around to share stories, or simply enjoy the moment's tranquility. The warmth of the tea spreads slowly, grounding you in the gentle evening light. Historians still debate whether the formal tea rituals originated as spiritual practice or social etiquette, but their calming effect is undeniable. You sense the tea ceremony as a bridge between day's labor and night's quiet, a soft pause before the village settles to rest. Nearby, a child tries to imitate the master's delicate movements, spilling a few drops but laughing softly. The tea master smiles gently, a quiet lesson in patience and grace passing between them. You find yourself smiling too, appreciating the simple humanity in this exchange. Outside, the soft glow of lanterns flickers through the window, and the faint sound of crickets begins to fill the air. You take another slow sip, feeling the tea's warmth and the village's gentle heartbeats slow in tandem. In this moment, tea becomes a lullaby in liquid form, a slow, fragrant journey inviting your mind to drift with the fading light. You step quietly into a dimly lit workshop tucked at the edge of the village, where wooden tools and carved implements hang neatly on the walls like trophies of a bygone era. The air smells faintly of polished cedar and sawdust, a comforting scent that speaks of steady hands and careful craft. Here, artisans shape the small wooden shuttles, combs, and bobbins essential for weaving, their work a vital but often overlooked part of the silk-making process. The master carpenter runs his fingers over a nearly finished shuttle, a smooth, slender piece of wood carved with delicate grooves, designed to glide effortlessly between threads. You watch as he sharpens its edges with fine stone, the rhythmic scrape echoing softly in the quiet room. It's a slow and precise task, requiring patience and a keen eye to ensure each tool fits perfectly into the weaver's rhythm. Nearby, younger apprentices study blueprints and attempt their own carvings, some rough and uneven but full of promise. You notice an old, battered plane resting on a workbench, a tool whose design hasn't changed much in centuries. It's a reminder of how much tradition is built into even the smallest details. Historians still debate how many of these crafting techniques are unique to this region or adaptations borrowed from distant cultures, but the consensus agrees they form an indispensable thread in the village's textile tapestry. You find it fascinating how these humble wooden pieces wield such quiet power in shaping silk's delicate journey. One quirky tidbit catches your attention. Some artisans paint tiny symbols on the underside of their tools, secret marks believed to bring good luck and steady hands. It's a playful blend of superstition and skill, a gentle reminder that even precision work carries a hint of magic. The soft light filters through a small window, casting warm pools over scattered wood shavings and half-carved fragments. You take a slow breath, feeling the calm dedication in the room, a space where time seems to stretch, measured not by clocks but by the slow carving of wood and the crafting of tools that will one day dance through silk threads. This quiet workshop is a world of patience and care, where small acts build a foundation for grand creations. You settle on a worn wooden bench outside as dusk settles, the sky a soft gradient from rosy pink to deepening blue. Around you, the village's elders gather, their faces lit gently by the flickering glow of a small fire. Children cluster nearby, their eyes wide with anticipation as the elders begin to speak, soft voices weaving stories as old as the hills themselves. The tales flow like a slow river, filled with silk dragons that curl through misty mountains and ancient spirits who protect the mulberry trees vital to their craft. You notice how the storyteller's voices rise and fall, lulling the listeners into a calm trance, where reality blurs with legend. The crackling fire adds a gentle percussion, its warmth wrapping around you like a comforting shawl. One elder recounts a story of a clever silkworm who outwitted a greedy emperor, spinning a cocoon that shone so brightly it revealed hidden truths. The children giggle at the silkworm's cheeky antics, their faces glowing in firelight. It's clear that these stories are more than entertainment. They're a thread connecting generations, passing wisdom wrapped in gentle humor and wonder. Historians still argue whether such oral traditions were primarily for teaching morality or simply for community bonding, but their power to soothe and unify is undeniable. You feel the slow magic of shared memory weaving a quiet spell over the group. Nearby, a grandmother softly hums an old lullaby, her voice barely above the crackle of flames, while a child nestles against her shoulder, eyes heavy with sleep. The rhythm of the night settles into a gentle cadence, one that mirrors the steady beat of the loom you heard earlier. As the stars begin to twinkle overhead, you sense the village slipping into its nighttime rhythm, wrapped in stories spun like silk, soft, enduring, and full of quiet life. You follow a narrow path lined with fragrant herbs and wildflowers to a small garden where the village healer tends their plants under the fading light. The air is thick with the earthy scent of damp soil and the sharp aroma of crushed mint leaves. You watch as she carefully snips sprigs of ginseng, angelica, and chrysanthemum, placing them gently into a woven basket. This is her medicine cabinet, the source of gentle remedies that soothe the aches and strains from a day's weaving. She hums softly as she works, her hand steady despite the evening chill. You notice jars filled with dried roots and powders lined up like quiet sentinels on a nearby shelf. Each one holds secrets passed down through generations, some remedies rooted in early science, others tinged with superstition. For example, she uses a poultice made from a paste of crushed mulberry leaves to ease stiff fingers, a practice that still puzzles modern scholars trying to understand its efficacy. You watch her prepare a small sachet of herbs wrapped in silk, meant to be tucked into the fold of a weaver's robe for restful sleep and protection against bad dreams. The blending of scents lavender, mugwort, and chrysanthemum is subtle but calming, like a whispered lullaby to the senses. Historians still debate how much traditional herbal medicine in these villages was based on empirical knowledge versus ritual belief, but the care and respect given to each remedy speak to a holistic approach to health that transcends simple categorization. Nearby, a child giggles as she tries to imitate the healer's careful cutting, her fingers clumsy but eager. The healer smiles gently, offering a small, dried flower as a token, a quiet moment of kindness in the twilight. You breathe deeply, the scent of the garden settling softly into your skin and mind. This tranquil ritual of healing, like the slow weaving and dyeing before it, is another thread in the village's fabric, one of gentle care and enduring connection. As night deepens, you return to the village's quiet streets where soft lantern light spills onto cobblestones, casting gentle shadows that sway with the evening breeze. You hear the faint rustle of silk garments being folded carefully in homes preparing for rest, a slow, deliberate act of closing the day. The wooden shutters creak softly as they're drawn shut, sealing in warmth and quiet. You notice the occasional muted murmur of families finishing their nightly prayers or sharing whispered conversations in low tones. The scent of sandalwood incense curls lazily from open windows, weaving to the cool air and adding a calming presence to the stillness. Outside, the chirping of crickets begins its gentle chorus, a natural lullaby that blankets the village in serenity. Walking past the weaving house, you catch the faint click-clack of a loom winding down, its rhythm slowing to a final pause before silence. The hands that tended the threads are now resting, fingers slightly curled, as if still holding the memory of the fabric they shaped. Historians still debate whether these nighttime rituals of folding and quiet reflection were formal customs or simply practical habits developed over time, but their effect is unmistakable. The deliberate slowing of movement signals a communal surrender to rest, an invitation for body and mind to unwind. You see lanterns being placed by doorways, their soft glows like watchful eyes guarding the village through the night. The air grows cooler, and you wrap your shawl a little tighter, feeling the comforting weight of fabric and tradition. As you pause beneath a ginkgo tree, its leaves whispering secrets in the dark, You reflect on the day's slow rhythm, the weaving, dyeing, storytelling, and healing all threading together into a seamless fabric of life. It's a gentle closing, a soft exhale before sleep, where every movement and sound is a tender promise of tomorrow's dawn. You lie down on a simple wooden bed, the faint scent of beeswax wood and dried lavender soothing your senses as you close your eyes. The day's gentle rhythms, the hum of silk threads, the soft chat of the market, the warmth of shared meals, and the quiet stories by firelight drift through your mind like a slow-moving river, carrying you toward rest. The village's pulse, measured not by clocks but by the steady flow of hands weaving and hearts connecting, lulls you deeper into calm. You recall the delicate dance of silk reeling, the vibrant yet muted hues coaxed from earth and leaf, and the tender weaving of patterns both seen and unseen. The moon's soft glow that bathed the festival, the fragrant steam of tea, the carving of tools in the healer's garden, all threads in a fabric woven with patience and care. Each moment was a stitch in a timeless tapestry, wrapping you in a comforting embrace. The crickets sing their night song outside your window, a gentle rhythm syncing with your slowing breath. You feel the day's quiet labor settle into your muscles, a satisfying weariness that whispers of accomplishment without hurry or strain. The soft rustle of silk in the night and the lingering warmth of tea remind you that life here moves at a pace that honors stillness as much as action. Historians still debate the precise origins of some village customs, but none contest the enduring peace found in these daily rituals. They offer a sanctuary, a way to slow time and find rest within the simple beauty of craft and community. As your thoughts soften and your eyelids grow heavy, you sense the village's gentle lullaby weaving you into dreams, a place where history and heart blend softly, inviting you to drift off wrapped in silken stories. Sleep well, knowing you've traveled through a day woven with patience, care, and quiet grace.